Senator Marsha Blackburn just held a hearing that had nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with impeachment, nothing to do with the culture wars. It was about college sports. And it might have been the most important hearing you have never heard of. The witnesses were legendary. Nick Saban, the greatest college football coach of all time. Miss Google, a former student athlete. Mr. Holtzclaw, another former player. They were there to talk about the state of college athletics. And the state is not good. Blackburn laid out the problem. There is a billion-dollar marketplace right now with no framework and no constraints. She and Senator Cantwell introduced the Hustle Act, which would require agents to be registered.
Senator Cantwell and I had introduced the Hustle Act, which put in place some baseline transparency standards by requiring these agents to be registered.
Right now, anyone on the street can be an agent for a college player. There is no regulation on how much they can charge. In the NFL, agent fees are capped at 3 to 5%. In college, players are paying 20%. Agents encourage players to enter the transfer portal even when it is not in their best interest, just to stimulate more revenue for themselves.
We have agents that encourage players to get in the portal when it's really not in their best interest to get in the portal, only to try to stimulate more revenue for them, but really for themselves.
Coach Saban said there should be regulation. There should be rules. Agents should be registered. Families and student athletes deserve the same protections that NFL players have. Mr. Holtzclaw agreed. He said agents work for the athlete, not the other way around. He has seen teammates devastated by bad agents who took too much money and did nothing in return.
I've also seen the bad side of other teammates that I've had to deal with bad agents and have said, this agent hasn't done anything for me. They're taking too much money. They're this, they're that.
Miss Google talked about the damage of constant transferring, the loss of team culture, the loss of academic progress, the mental health pressures when agents are in your ear telling you to leave even when you are happy where you are. This is not a partisan issue. It is about protecting young people from exploitation. Let's watch.
Thank you. Senator Blackburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to each of you for being here. As you can see, there is a lot of bipartisan interest in doing something to correct this situation that seems to be running off the rails. And quite frankly, I think Congress is late to the game on this. I think the NCAA has really dropped the ball on this. They should have done something years ago. And as you can see from the audience behind you, I think every intern, college intern that is up here has tried to get in this room today so that they could see this. And I know that some from Tennessee are saying, go Vols and go Vanderbilt. Mr. Gee, they've had quite a season. We loved having you in Nashville at Vanderbilt. Coach Saban, I want to come to you. We've heard a lot about navigating this marketplace. We're talking about $1 billion marketplace right now that basically has no framework, no constraints. Senator Cantwell and I had introduced the Hustle Act, which put in place some baseline transparency standards by requiring these agents to be registered. And we've heard from Mr. Holtzclaw, sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you're too far into this, and I really appreciated your opening testimony. So I'm glad that provision is in the Protect College Sports Act, but I'd like for you to talk a little bit about why there should be registration, why there should be transparency, why there should be disclosure requirements that would help protect the student athlete from exploitation.
Well, we mentioned this before earlier in our testimony that I think it's imperative that student athletes, their families, have protection from agents. Right now, you don't have to be registered to be an agent for a college player, so anybody on the street can do it. We don't have any regulation on how much they can charge.
Should their fees be capped?
No question. I think that, if you look at NFL, they're 3 to 5%. We have college players paying 20%.
Yeah.
We have agents that encourage players to get in a portal when it's really not in their best interest to get in a portal, only to try to stimulate more revenue for them, but really for themselves, with no guarantee that they're going to get them more revenue. So I do think there should be regulation. I do think there should be rules. I do think they should be registered. You know, look, the NFL has a lot of really good rules, and you have to be a registered agent with the Players Association and the NFL to be able to represent players. And I think families and student athletes have the same, should have the same protection in terms of the framework that we put around agents
Okay.
for college kids.
That's great. Mr. Holtzclaw, do you agree with what he said? And I want you also to talk, pardon me, about the financial literacy. Should that be a requirement?
I do agree to parts of what Mr. Saban is over there saying. He is definitely speaking truth on to what happens in the lives of our student athletes when they have to deal with agents. Agents do encourage a lot of decisions for student athletes that they have signed to their agency. And again, agents do get paid through what college athletes get paid. So them trying to influence the decisions of student athletes will influence their pay. Again, I think this goes back to the education piece of educating a lot of student athletes on the fact that your agent works for you and that you don't work for your agent. Your agent is supposed to be helping you. And again, those ridiculous amounts of money that's being taken from a lot of these student athletes is a disservice to the game, you know? And I've had great experiences when it comes to me and an agent. I've also seen the bad side of other teammates that I've had to deal with bad agents and have said, this agent hasn't done anything for me. They're taking too much money. They're this, they're that. And there's definitely an issue with anybody just being able to be an agent without those type of regulations. I
Okay.
agree that there should be that.
That's great. Ms. Gould, I want to come to you on the transfer portal and just have you talk for a minute about the damage that can be done not only to the school and the program, but to the athlete with this constant transferring.
Yes, thank you for that question. And certainly, while I think everybody at this table, supports freedom of movement and freedom of choice for student athletes with guardrails in place, I think there are so many consequences of what's happening right now. Lance talked a little bit about how it feels to kind of jump from program to program and have lots of transition, what it does academically. If I think we're going to start to see with graduation rates around transfer student athletes that our core purpose of tying college athletics to the educational mission is being lost because of this hopping around from institution to institution. It really does undermine the foundational team culture and team atmosphere when you don't know year to year, month to month, who your teammates are going to be. And really, these relationships that happen in these locker rooms are some of the richest and most transformational relationships that a student athlete can have in their life. So I think there are academic impacts. I think there are culture impacts to teams. And I think there are mental health pressures too. When you have agents in your ear, kind of pressuring you to consider other options when maybe it's not in your best interest or maybe you're happy where you are.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Blackburn. And I will note, I think one of the most important parts of Senator Cantwell's and my
This hearing is a masterclass in how to identify a problem that everyone knows exists, but no one has fixed. Senator Marsha Blackburn did not need to grandstand. She did not need to ask gotcha questions. She brought in experts, actual experts, not politicians, and let them explain what is happening to college athletes. The numbers are staggering. $1 billion marketplace with no framework and no constraints. In the NFL, agent fees are capped at 3 to 5%. In college, players are paying 20%. That is not a market. That is exploitation. Anyone on the street can be an agent for a college player. No registration, no background check, no oversight. A teenager with $1 million future can sign with someone who has no credentials, no accountability, and no obligation to act in the athlete's best interest. Coach Nick Saban has seen it all. He has coached some of the greatest players in the history of the sport. He has watched them navigate this new landscape, and he is worried. He said agents encourage players to enter the transfer portal even when it is not in their best interest. Why? Because the agent gets paid when the player gets paid. The agent makes money whether the player succeeds or fails. The agent has no downside. The player has everything to lose. Mr. Holtzclaw spoke from personal experience. He has seen teammates devastated by bad agents. Agents who took too much money and did nothing in return. Agents who promised the world and delivered nothing. He said there should be education. Student athletes need to know that the agent works for them, not the other way around. They need financial literacy. They need to understand what they are signing. They need to know that 20% is not normal. It is predatory. Miss Google talked about the transfer portal, the ability to move from school to school without sitting out a year. That sounds like freedom, and in theory, it is. But in practice, it has created chaos. Athletes are hopping from program to program. They are losing academic progress. They are losing team culture. They are losing the relationships that make college athletics meaningful. And they are under constant pressure from agents who tell them to leave, to chase more money, to enter the portal even when they are happy where they are. The mental health toll is real. The isolation is real. The burnout is real. The NCAA dropped the ball. That is not a partisan statement. That is a fact. The NCAA had years to get ahead of this. They did nothing. Now Congress is stepping in. The Hustle Act would require agents to be registered. The Protect College Sports Act would put guardrails around the transfer portal. These are not radical ideas. They are common sense. They are the same protections that professional athletes have had for decades. College athletes deserve no less. The audience behind the witnesses was full of college interns. They tried to get into the room because they care about this issue. They are the ones who will be affected by these rules. They are the ones who will sign with agents. They are the ones who will enter the portal. They are the ones who will pay 20% fees if nothing changes. They are watching. They are hoping. They are waiting for Congress to act. Blackburn closed by thanking the witnesses. She did not make a speech. She did not attack anyone. She listened. She asked questions. She let the experts speak. That is how oversight is supposed to work. The problem is real. The solution is within reach. The only thing missing is the will to act.